I invest in not, which makes it also easier to buy more and thus easier to scale. As soon as I hit 35, I need to stop doing anything that I'm doing and just wake up and shop every day. The plan is to buy for 10 years. As soon as it hits the 10th year, sell half, buy out half, and then live the life. That's the plan.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of More Than a Sale, where it's not just about the successes, it's about the failures, the heartbreaks, the setbacks to get to where you are today. And today I have one Shradha Chopra.
Shradha Chopra. Shradha Chopra.
Make a round of applause to Shradha Chopra.
She is 26 years old. She has 11 properties under her belt, has $15,000 monthly passive income cash flow, and she is a full-time real estate agent now with $6.5 million portfolio.
Shradha Chopra, welcome to More Than a Sale.
Oh, thank you. For the 10 years, I am on consider me in acquisition mode. I'm buying. I buy very strategically. I have backup plans. I have backup plans. I have a very set plan of retiring soon. So I knew that I have to make that transition sooner or later in order to do that. I just knew that I'm working towards something. It's not going to be forever, but it needs to be happening right now. I can't go out and party with other people at this time because I can actually make money out of it.
Tell me a little bit about yourself. How does a 26-year-old get to 11 properties and 15K in cash flow?
That's a very open-ended question, but I have been working on this for 6 years, and primary focus during this time has been on investing in stuff that gives me money, which in turn kind of converts into making it easier to scale because you don't have to look after each property at a time. That's what I do. It has worked out for me great, and I invest in tier 2 cities, not the GTA, which makes it also easier to buy more and thus easier to scale, basically. Yeah.
How does one educate themselves about this process? Because when you and I discuss your journey and when we hang out off camera, we speak about you actually looking at opportunities because you reject a lot of real estate altogether. You predominantly focus, correct me if I'm wrong, on investment real estate that provides cash flow. Now you have an accounting background from what I understand. So how does an accountant sort of navigate into the field of real estate and not pursue the accounting field? Tell me a little bit about that part.
So actually, because I do investment real estate, it comes in very handy because once you have an accounting background, you are understanding numbers better, you know how that flows, you know you understand taxes better, you understand what kind of an income can actually be passive, how you can save it, all of those things. So my accounting background actually comes in very handy with my investment real estate, and just the fact that I understand numbers to the core, I implement that in my business. My switch from accounting was because I knew I come from a background as well, like my family has been in the real estate business for a long time, but I knew that even whatever I'm doing, may it be accounting, may it be something else, I have to invest my money in real estate because that's the only way for me to grow. Otherwise, I've always been in a position where I'm always working. And I don't want that. I have a very set plan of retiring soon. So I knew that I have to make that transition sooner or later in order to do that. So yeah.
You're the first 26-year-old I've met that has a retirement plan already.
Yep.
So tell me about this retirement plan of yours. What does it look like? How does it work? How are you going to get there?
So I have a very fixed retirement plan that as soon as I hit 35, I need to stop doing anything that I'm doing and just wake up and shop every day. That's the plan. And yeah, I see myself doing that. I'm for the 10 years, I am on consider me in acquisition mode. I'm buying. I buy very strategically. I just don't go into anything. I have backup plans. I have backup plans that if things go south, this is what I'm going to do. And I guess it's quite easy to achieve in investment real estate, I feel. 10 years, buy. The plan is to buy for 10 years. As soon as it hits the 10th year, sell half, buy out half, and then live the life.
So share with our audience members, how can they buy? What does it take to buy these properties other than money? And how do you accumulate so many properties and also sort of navigate around the tax brackets?
So That's a very okay. I would have to get into a lot of tax accounting details
Where can this start? How about this? Tell me that. Where can someone start? Well, now when we're looking at cash flow properties, right? What analysis do you do when it comes to a cash flow property?
Like I said, first thing is I'm a very, very conservative investor.
Okay.
Like if someone tells me that, oh, they're going to make $100 on it, I will consider that as 50. So I need to have that, okay, if this plan doesn't work, what are you going to do then? Right? You can't just go into something with just one plan. And I've seen that happen many times with multiple people. They come to me and they're like, oh, we got this because everybody was saying that this is going to work. I'm like, yeah, but what if it doesn't? Do you have a backup plan for it?
And what is that backup plan?
So like when I look at an investment and I am analyzing it, I'm thinking about it that, okay, if I can Airbnb it, if I can't, and like Airbnb stops altogether, I don't know, the company goes bankrupt or something, right? I can pivot to, let's say, students. And if I can do students stop, immigration stops, no problem. I can pivot to a long term. So I need to have all those backup plans in action. And how I came to that is because when I was starting my journey, I had very limited money. I couldn't really get into something with the idea that, okay, it's a do or die. Works out for people who have great money and it's worked out for people who don't have a lot of money as well. But for me, I had saved that money myself. I had to use it very, very wisely. So I needed to make sure that I have a backup and then I have a backup's backup.
So I want to elaborate on that a little bit more. There's a story that you told me once about your first home buying journey, which would be really nice for everybody to hear, which we'll get to shortly. But before that, can you give me a prime example of one of the properties that you own, how much cash flow it generates, how you acquired it, and what's the backup plan of the backup plan look like for that property?
So most of my properties, I do either an Airbnb or a student rental. I try to stay away from long-term tenants just because of the tenancy laws and stuff. But all the properties, everywhere I go, the numbers are going to work with the long-term tenant numbers as well, if push come to shove, and it has to happen. So how I look at it as a backup plan is that when I get into it, and I'll give you an example, let's say I have a property in Barrie. I do Airbnb on it. And then they came in saying that they're going to implement a law that says that you're going to stop it. So it was giving me great cash flow. If you're doing Airbnb or if you know that market, you'll know that if you're making, let's say 1, you'll make 1.5 in Airbnb. So rent's almost 1.5 times, which makes it amazing as an amazing cash flow property. However, if it stops, my numbers will work. Even if I pivot to a student, I make just, let's say, $1. My numbers are going to work then. If students stop as well, pivot, make 0.8, no problem. The numbers are still going to work. I'm still going to cash flow. The whole idea of it is that the cash flow can go down. I can take less profit. I don't need to be in a loss. No condition will I ever want to be in a state where it takes money out of my pocket. It can be zero. It can be null. Like it can be like I make nothing, I pay nothing, but I don't want to be in a loss. When this whole interest rate thing happened and everyone was freaking out, yes, my cash flow went down for a temporary period, but there was no loss. It was not like, okay, now I can't hold on to the property. No problem. Went down, it'll go back up. It's all good.
And when you talk about tier 2 cities, what are the tier 2 cities?
So we used to invest in the GTA until the numbers were working. There was a time when, especially when COVID time, that cash flow was not even a concern for somebody, right? Like the numbers were working, GTA properties weren't as expensive. And that time we did invest there. And as the property value went up, but the rent remains the same, it became harder and harder. And that's why we had to pivot. So we went to 1 hour away, then we went to 2 hours away, then we went to 3 hours away. Now I invest all the way till 3 hours. And I tell this to people that you can keep buying further and further away. I call it goes down $100,000 per hour. Consider it, you go 1 hour, you can buy something in 700, 750, go 2 hours, 600, 650, go 3 hours, 500, 550. So it's literally $100,000 an hour.
Now, when we hear, that's a very unique perspective, $100,000 an hour difference. The more further you go out, that's $100,000 the price drops. I've never heard that one before. We get a chance to hear on social media, online, or to news articles, invest in this city or invest outside of the province or invest outside of the GTA. And I'm sure a lot of our listeners have heard that already. My question is, and I really like to get into the details of things. It's like, okay, cool. We know we should be doing this, but how does that process of doing it look like? So when we go further out, like I have no idea if I go 3 hours out or 4 hours out of the GTA, I don't know what the homes are going to be selling for. I don't know what the rental rates are going to be. So what are some important questions to ask yourself to do that due diligence? Basically, what I'm asking is, how does that due diligence process look like for someone to educate them whether that city is a thriving city or has a rental demand or has that pool for your investment to be a safe haven? That's my question.
So when I went there, because I'm an agent, I have to look at my own investments and maybe probably sell it to other people as well. So my due diligence process is extremely detailed, and every city that I have even pitched a client to buy, I have my own investment there. So, and I actually start it like that. I go there, I do my due diligence, I put in my own money first.
Yeah.
Put in my own money, see the area, check out the rental. It has worked out 100% of the time. But yes, so I check it out and then only I'm in a position to pitch it to someone. I'm not expecting a client to do this due diligence because that's not what their expertise is. So as an agent, yes, you can go. I try to live there. Try to live there for like a couple weeks, check out the area, drive by everything, check out multiple rental properties. I actually do it. I go on Marketplace or other platforms, wherever this is posted, go check out the houses, how much they are renting for. And that is a part of my due diligence process that, okay, how all as agents, we have access to, okay, how much it's selling for. We can do all that calculations, right? But not all these small cities, they don't use, I guess, the MLS system for rental. That's not a thing. You usually use all these Marketplace or like Kijiji and all these platforms. So I go there, I check out that rental. I go if there's any college, there's any university, there's hospitals, there's airports, what kind of growth is happening. Like 3 hours away, we invest in like Sudbury and they're setting up a Tesla plant soon is what they're saying. So imagine how much of a growth that's going to happen once that happens. Now, don't ask when that's going to happen. Canada is very slow, but the idea is that whenever it happens and until that happens, it's very easy to hold on to the property. It's less investment. It gives you money. With zero appreciation, we still get 12% a year. It's a 1% return a month in rental income. Even if it doesn't appreciate a single dollar, I still make 12% a year. That is a conservative approach. Appreciation is always very subjective. When it happens, if it happens. There's multiple factors. There's too many macroeconomics involved. Elections are coming up. What if immigration stops? How are the policies in the US are going to change? Because that really affects how Canada looks at things. So it's very subjective. You can't just go in with the idea that, oh, you buy something today and it will appreciate only. That's not the right approach for a good investor. A lot of people who have made money there's a reason that they were at the right place at the right time. There's very few of them that actually know how an investment works. And I've seen that time and time again. They come to me, they're like, yeah, we invested in this and we made like $200,000. Great. But now they're in a position, they took the 200, they bought the next investment and now they lost 400. That just means that they were at the right place at the right time to make the 200 because they don't know how to get out of this 400, and that shouldn't have been the place. If you know an investment, if you are an investment investor, you will know how to get out of the down market and up market. Well, everybody's making money in the up market.
Because you specialize in investment real estate, you have a very unique and special niche that not a lot of agents technically tend to have. Are you selective about the people that you work with? And a lot of your business is organic and it's all referrals and it's a word of mouth, and you are a top producer in your industry as well. How do you, what would you say on that? Is that where does majority of your business gets driven from? So
just because of I share my own story. I have made this money and I can help other people make this money too. This line has given me a lot of business. When you can actually come out and tell people that, hey, you can make them this much money, it works wonders. And how, like you said, that I'm a little selective with the clients I work with. And the reason for that is that when I was starting into the industry and I was new and I'm like, okay, I'm going to do anything, whatever, as an agent, I very quickly realized that I'm probably not the best agent if someone wants to buy their own house. And I realized that with an episode that happened is like I walk into a showing with a client and, like how if you're an agent, if you're selling to a first-time buyer, you have to tell them that, hey, see how beautiful the floors are, how pretty the kitchen is, how many pot lights there are, I guess. But that wasn't my approach. I'm like, in my head, in my mathematical head, it's like, oh my God, this guy's making so much money. They flipped the house. It was a flip house. They're like, oh my God, they're making this profit. And I'm telling the client that, hey, you're really overpaying for this. I can really help you in this. You really shouldn't do it. So it wasn't fair for the client. Because for some people, home is a safe space.
Yeah.
They don't look at it as an investment. And that's totally understandable. And I respect that. But for me, it was more of like, oh my God, you really can make money yourself. And if you want, I can help you in with it. So I realized that I'm probably not the best agent for them. And that's why I try to stay away from it. Very funny thing, I was trying to, a client came to me and they're like, no, you only have to help us. And we went in to see the house that they plan to live in. And the wife opened up the closet and she's like, it's a small closet. And it's so funny, as an investor, I've never opened a closet. I'm like, oh yeah. Wow. I've actually never really opened a closet because that's just not my deciding factor. That's like not something that I am trying to sell. Like I've never told a client that, hey, see, it's a 3-bedroom house with a small closet. Like, yeah, it's just like a 3-bedroom house. That's it, period.
It's such a cliche realtor thing to do, right?
Yeah.
You know, I always make a joke that anytime you show properties, we all enter, well, this is the kitchen, this is the living. It's like, yeah, they can see there's the kitchen and the living room. You know, it's like right there in front of them.
Yeah, so I realize it, that I'm probably not the best agent for them. And they are probably not the best client for me as well. And very respectfully, I should move on.
So tell me about this. Has there been a situation with all the people that you work with where it didn't work out?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
A lot of times people come to me and they said that I get clients all the time that they come to me and they said that their rent is, let's say, $2,500 or $3,000, whatever, and they want to buy a house, but they want to make sure that their monthly budget is the same. I'm like, okay, great. I am the perfect person for that because I can financially plan for you. Give me a project, consider a project. They're like, okay, we can only pay, I guess, $3,000 a month.
Yeah.
And then if the mortgage comes out to be, and mortgage and overheads comes out to be like $6,000, we need like a rental income to it.
Yeah.
And it has worked out. And then some people come to me, they're not making that much money. They can't afford this house. Right? They're like, they're really stretching themselves, running thin. There's like, if one person loses their job, they're like, it's gone. But the idea is that they still have this dream house in their head. And I know their situation because we talk to the mortgage person. We know how much they can monthly afford. And there's other expenses that come when you buy a house. But when I tell them that, hey, you should not really buy this property, you should look for like a rental thing, they take it as an offense, and it has happened to me. It has happened to me that it backfired on me, and I'm like, okay. And sometimes it happened that they just ghosted me. We've been working for like months. I tried to convince them, and they just bought it with someone else. I respect that. At the same time, I feel that I really want, and it has also happened that they actually ghosted me, and now they're in a position that they're actually financially tight. And I'm like, I told you. But the other person didn't really think of it like that because there's a lot of agents that don't understand the math behind it, and they just bought it, and it was an emotional decision, and now they're regretting it.
I want to ask you, you are very vocal on social media and you are very strategic with what you share on social media, and you are very transparent as well on social media. Do you ever face criticism for some of the stuff that you post?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Yeah?
I feel that some of these hate comments are actually very funny to read. I've heard all kinds.
What's one that comes to mind that has stuck with you?
So it was actually a video we posted with my dad, and he was one of the guests in like a podcast that we did, and I've learned everything like in terms of basics from him, right? And he was telling about real estate 101, and there was, I guess, just over 500 and all hate comments, to a point that I can't even tell you that's how bad they were. And I told my dad, I'm like, Dad, you made it. You're a sensation now. I just can't read the comments to you because they're not the best. I can't say that to my dad, but you should read it. You should read it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I've heard all kinds that, oh, you're the reason that people can't buy real estate. I've heard that, oh, fix your voice. I've heard that go back, immigrant. Yeah, all different kinds, but honestly, I love it. And to a point that I've realized that because I'm so heavy on social media, I've reached a point where I actually... so I recently posted a video about we bought a property in the US, and we recently posted a video, just like a little vlog kind of it, and we had like a caption on it, and I on purposely wrote a word. It was wrong in English. So it said your, and it should be like you apostrophe RE. The number of comments I receive on it, but you know what it did? It went viral. It went crazy viral, and I don't really care about the comments, but the number of leads it generated was insane. So I pretty much realized that these small mistakes, the whole comment section is filled with fix your English, do this, that. No one cares. I got so many leads from it, and it's just business.
do you find that when you're posting stuff on social media that it's not even about the content that you're posting, they're really just, if we may say so, roasting you for the way you're talking or the way you're projecting yourself? And how do you feel when that happened?
It used to really get to me in the beginning, but now I'm okay with it. Now, I guess you get okay when you start getting business out of it as well, because it goes viral and it's like, it's
yeah. I'm famous now, it's okay. It comes with the territory.
Yeah.
Has there been a point in your life or at a point in your time in your career where, as you're on this journey, a deal went sour, or what you had projected was completely wrong, or a risk that you took and it completely backfired, or touch wood, things have been in a very positive direction based on the way you've been moving?
Touchwood, things have been in a very positive direction, but it has definitely happened to a point where I live on a very basic principle that in my conscience needs to be clear always. So I really make sure personal, professional, I'm not doing wrong by anybody ever. But sometimes there's clients that just over expect. Everybody has been there, everybody watching that they just want more. So there has been episodes of that where you prepared them for the worst, but if worst hits, they're just like, oh, you did this to us. So that, I feel, just getting over that guilt it took me some time. The fact that you can't satisfy everyone. But yeah, other than that, it's been a pretty smooth journey.
Share with me your story of how you came to Canada, because you grew up in India. And you were born in India. And tell me about that, and then shifting to completely, moving and setting up a life here in Canada. How did that came to be about, and why did it happen?
Back home, we didn't have a lot of money, and I always wanted more. So my parents worked really hard, sent us to like great schools and stuff. But the idea is that I used to grow up with people where they have lots of money, and you're this person who's barely trying to make it. It's not just about sending your kids to the best school, then you have to maintain that lifestyle. So it was very hard, and it takes a toll on your confidence. Sometimes, like if you don't have what other people have, and then you blame your parents on it. So when I came to Canada, I'm like, okay, you know what? I was a very introvert kid back home, and I came to Canada, and I'm like, this is a reset button. Nobody knows me here. I can do whatever I can be literally whoever I want to be. And I pressed that, and I'm like, I'm going to make sure that I am in every public speaking class, I am in every event, and everywhere I can be, and I changed that, and I made sure of it, and that worked out. So everybody in school, in college knew me, that this person, this is what I do. And then I pivoted into accounting, living a great life. I knew that I didn't want to do business. But things didn't turn out like that, because when I bought my first, I saved up. I used to do 3 jobs. I used to do 3 jobs when I was saving up for my first house. I had a 9 to 5 in accounting. And then I had a 6 to midnight. So I used to do the 6 to midnight. I used to work for a trucking company, used to handle their accounts receivable. So trucking company works 24/7. So it's open 24/7. I didn't have a car at that time. So that 5 to 6 period was my transition, taking the bus, going to the other workplace, coming back home 1 a.m. at night, doing it again. So I've done it. I've done it for like 2-3 years. Wow. And then on weekends, I used to do like a part-time job, like a sales job. So I was really grinding because I didn't have, I guess, extreme skills, or at least that's what I thought. I wasn't with the right mindset people that, hey, it's not like I was making a lot of money. I wasn't. If I was smart enough, I could have done it in like one job. I just didn't know any better. All I knew is that I have to do it. And I saved up for my first house. When I started making money from that house, I realized that, okay, this is amazing, and I can really do it. And there was a major gap. There was a major gap in people, in an agent and an educated agent. And I feel that there were so many things that I had to figure out myself that it actually makes sense what people say that, hey, real estate agents are just paid. They don't know what they're doing. And it's true. And I've been there. Yeah. I'm
going to get to that part very shortly. I want to back up a little bit in terms of you made a couple of interesting points. So you had almost 4 jobs from what I understand. Yeah. You had a part-time job on the weekend, then you had 3 jobs during daytime.
No, 3 jobs in total.
3 jobs in total.
Yeah.
3 jobs in total. And you were taking the bus because you didn't have access to a car. So you were in like student grind mode, immigrant, new into the country, of what we see on social media, or when we see anybody that comes in and the hardships that they face. Where were you staying? What was the condition like, and what was the mentality? You said, how did you sort of come to that realization, is that I'm going to put myself through this motion, I'm going to save money, and I'm going to buy a house? Where did that idea come from? That's the only way that you're going to get out of this rut. How did you come up with that thought process? Talk to me about that.
It comes from the family background. like because I come from a real estate background, I've seen family make lots of money, but I've also seen them lose lots of money. So it was like you knew that, you just know, however, you also know that you need to learn how to do it better. And that's where that backup plan mentality comes into place. You can make a lot of money, sure, but if you don't have a backup plan, you can also lose a lot of money. And that I'm like, okay, if I do this, I'm going to do it this way, that it doesn't come down to this losing part of things. And that's why I'm like, okay, you have to get into real estate. You just need to have a better plan for it.
How much did you save up?
80 grand.
80 grand. Okay, cool. And quite in a span of 2-3 years of working those jobs.
Yeah. 2-3 years. And while I was studying as well. So I was working at that time.
You're studying as well.
And because I had a very, very minimal lifestyle. So I feel that when I came to Canada, I went to like downtown like 3 years after I came here. I was working on my birthday. I was working on every time. Like I was working like all year. Like there was no, like if someone asks me that, I've been in the situation multiple times where people say that, yeah, you're in university, you know what, we went to that party and we did that and that was such a great experience. I don't have those. I really do not have a fun university story because I was always working. I just knew that I'm working towards something and it's not going to be forever, but it needs to be happening right now. I can't go out and party with other people at this time because I can actually make money out of it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Coming into the story of the disconnect between agent and client, let's talk a little bit about that because you ended up in a very, very difficult situation. Share with our audience members what you landed yourself up in. Because this is when every time you tell me this story, I just go, like, it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And there's no light at the end of the tunnel, but you found the light. So share with our audience members.
So when I bought my first house, everything, like you said, that can go south went south. I had an agent. He made me pay after the deposit, there was an extra money that we had to pay just because we couldn't close on it. He made me pay that directly to the seller. So I saved up the 80 and the rest of the money I had to pay more. I'll tell you in a second why. But he made me pay 110,000 directly to the seller. And it was just written on Schedule A. And that is not normal. And it shouldn't happen. He didn't ask if I had a pre-approval or something. He didn't ask me for my financial plan. He just, every time I used to call him, his answer used to be, yeah, we'll do it. Don't worry, I got this. That's what he said. He tried, I had an agent at that time, so I was a buyer and then he was a seller's agent. He tried to cut the buyer's agent as well, telling me that, hey, why don't you just deal with me so he gets both sides commission. I was young. I didn't know. I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, I didn't need an extension. I needed an amendment and an extension. So I'm like, he's like, yeah, I can get it done. So I thought that, okay, sure. What I didn't know is that I already had signed like a BRA with the other agent. So I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll cut her out. I didn't know because these are unethical things. You shouldn't be doing this, right? And I bought the property. I couldn't close on it. I had to get an extension. The sellers asked for more money when I asked for the extension. I gave them that. I needed another extension. I gave them that. So all my down payment, the 20%, was given way before the closing had happened. 110 grand given there, and then 50,000 was just sitting in the trust account. Bought a house for 800, so almost like 160 grand. Took about a year to close. I took possession of the house before the house closed because that was the only way for me to get that third extension. So I was paying for the seller's mortgage, their seller's property taxes, utilities, everything. And mortgage agent was also the agent's guy. And he told me that he can get the mortgage done for like a year. And when I went to him, he backed out. He's like, you got to go private. So my first house, I closed on a private mortgage, 13%. And I was very young. I was 20, turning 21, right? I was very, very young at that time. And I remember the specific moment where my best friend calls me and she's telling me that, hey, you know what? This guy is not replying to me. And I'm like, dude, cut the phone. I have bigger problems to deal with. I really cannot deal with this right now. I was making sure that, okay, where am I going to get the money? How am I going to afford this mortgage, which has come from like a 2,500 to a 5,500? I really cannot.
You're like, forget about your boy troubles right now. Yeah, forget about your boy troubles. I got bigger problems right now.
But it taught me a lot. And there was, funny enough, in that whole deal, there was a moment when the seller gave me a way out. He told me that he's going to charge me like 10 grandish, which was a big amount for me at that time. But he said that he's going to charge like 10 grandish and you can get out. But I was already 8 months into the deal. 8 months of stress. And I'm like, I can't. I can't. It's like, it's a do or die. And I have to get through this. And I had the house I bought it for 800. House ended up costing me like 900-ish because I paid like interest on the private mortgage for the whole year. But I learned everything through that. I learned why cash flow is important. I learned how to sustain an asset. I learned that down payment is just one part of it. And if you can't afford the monthly mortgage, that's where it gets tricky. Somehow you will digest the down payment. I don't know how. It'll take you a couple months. For this applies for everyone. But somehow you'll get all your money, you'll squeeze out, but somehow you will digest it in like 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. But the mortgage payments is where it gets tricky. And everybody who is suffering right now is in that position. I'm like, it is very, very important to have a plan for that. And then I also realized that, one small thing, that real estate is such game that even if the agent does wrong by you, the mortgage agent does wrong by you, everybody does wrong by you. But still, in the long run, you can make money from it. So it's literally a field where I made like 400,000 from that property. I still have it.
So you hung on to it because you saw that the values kept going up and up and up,
Yeah.
and you're like, it's a do or die, but I know that if I make it through, that I'm going to be profitable at the end of it.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. Like if I would have given up at that time, I wouldn't have any exit. But that small thing is such huge thing, and everyone who's trying to buy is that it's a field where if everybody does wrong by you, you just know how to hold on to it. You'll be able to make money. When? I don't know. But you'll be able to make money. All you need to do is hold on to it. You have a bad agent. He sold you overpriced house. Your mortgage agent messed up. Your lawyer messed up. Everybody messed up. You're very, very angry. Your tenants are not paying. Whatever. Just hold on to it. Today or tomorrow, it'll be able to cover for itself and give you money. And it's a very, very important thing. And I'm like, yeah, sure. So it's all a sustainable game.
Basically the power of real estate.
Yeah.
That's how real estate works. Let's dive a little bit deep into who you are as a person. We always see a lot of the business side, we see the investment side, and I feel like I've had an opportunity to get to know you personally, and you're a blast. You're a bundle of energy, you're a bundle of joy, you're hilarious, you have an interesting sense of humor altogether, and the things that we joke about. So let me ask you this. Who's been a major influence in your life? Who do you seek inspiration from? Who motivates you? Who do you look up to? Who have been some guiding, individuals in your life that have had a profound influence on you?
It's just been my father. My father has been the biggest influence on me. He has taught me everything, and there's few things that is just so important to him, and he stresses about it to us as well. One of them, like I said, being that just never do wrong by anybody. Like, it's just so important. You need to have a clear conscience. There's money you can make every time, doesn't matter. Money will come and go. Like, someone can offer him like $1 million and he's still not gonna back off his principles. He's like, no, it's not enough. It's like, I'm not going to do it. And I live by that. I've learned sales from him. I've learned everything from him. He's literally that salesperson, like you're saying, give him a pencil and he can sell it to you. He's that person. And he is a real life rich dad from that book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Wow.
And when I read that book, because, you get into real estate, you're like, oh my God, read this book. This is going to teach you everything you need to know. And I read it and I literally did not learn anything from it because everything in that book was my normal. It was my normal. I've grown seeing that. Don't buy your own house, live on rent, plan it like that. You need to have the assets, don't go on the liabilities. It's the normal. It's the normal we had every time, dinner table conversation. And he has been the biggest inspiration in my life. And he's still to date. He doesn't understand the fancy terms, but his basics of real estate is as clear as it can get from anybody.
Would you say he's incredibly proud of you?
Oh, yeah, he is. He's never going to show it. Because he thinks that I'm going to fly out, but he is, yeah.
If he's listening to this podcast and you can tell him something, what would you say to your papa?
I would just say thank you. I would just say that he deserves the world and more, and just say thank you because everything that I have done today has been because of him, and just the fact that he has never, like, we're two daughters, right? And he has never ever grown us in a way that, oh, you're a daughter, you can't do that. As for quite the opposite. It's like, do more, like, and just dream more. Do, like, never, like, if I told him that, for a brown parent, if I told him I want to be a singer, he's like, yeah, be a singer. Yeah, it's like, never stopped us that, oh, you have to do this. As for anything, he's against the whole going to school idea in the first place. He's like, sit home, don't do anything, and think of a business idea. When I was doing a job, he literally told me that. He's like, I will pay you every month to sit at home and do nothing so you can think of a business idea. Because if you're always occupied, you're never going to be able to think it.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
Other than the financial investment, what is the personal investment you do for yourself?
I feel I'm working on a work-life balance. I'm still getting comfortable with it. Life's been very busy for me in terms like touch wood, knock on wood, like this work life has been very busy for me, and real estate has really worked out, really helped a lot of people. But I feel that I really need to work on a work life balance.
In a perfect world, what does that look like?
In a perfect world, I wake up and I just shop. I told you, it just needs to happen at 35. Yeah, in a perfect world, that's all I do. Yeah, in a perfect world, I wake up, I go to the gym, and then I just shop all day, every day.
What does Shradha Chopra shop for?
Everything that I couldn't get when I was a kid. So, like I said, I went to school with people, with kids who had lots of money. And I have never seen that luxury in my life. I'm not complaining about it. I'm extremely grateful, but I want it. I want it, but I'm still getting comfortable with that idea because I still have that mindset where it says, like, I will save up. Like when I came into real estate, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to put like, let's say $1,000 aside and for every deal that I do. And then I'm going to buy this bag. And I don't know if it was like a 20 grand bag, whatever. I saved it. I hit the 20 grand. And then I'm like, oh, do I really need it? I feel that this is a shift I really need in my life because I feel that I need to get out of that. Just keep buying real estate, and buy something else as well. So that is what I'm targeting to, and I'm very...
Yacht, I think the yacht is next for you. So you promised me you give me a...
Yeah,
exactly.
I need it, and I really need that.
You need it, yeah. Before we conclude and move, it's been an incredible podcast that we've had because you shared a lot of great things. I want to ask you, what are some of your top books that you recommend to our listeners, and what's a famous quote that comes to mind?
I actually don't read books.
You don't, okay.
Which is crazy. I've always tried to be a reader, but I'm more of a listener. I am more of a listener in the sense I can listen to like podcasts, I can listen to all of that. And
what's a podcast that you listen to? Top podcast that you enjoy? Other than this one,
There's too many of them. There's a podcast that I really listen to where they just come on FaceTime. I don't know if you've seen that. They come on FaceTime. There's these top CEOs. They come on FaceTime every Monday and they just talk about what's happening in the world. And it's literally a FaceTime call.
What is it called?
I actually forgot the name. It's not coming to me. But I listen to that. And they just talk about like world in general, what's happening, where to invest. I don't know. All these things, they really, really inspire me. I feel that if they can do it, I can do it too. Like, and why not? Everybody tells me, oh, you've achieved so much in like 26. I feel I've not really done anything. I need to do more. It needs to be more than that. And I mean, look at you. You have done so much. So it's like you want to be around those people who motivate you to do better. And a quote that comes to me, it's literally just that. My dad always says it, just don't do wrong by anyone. And I feel that it's a really something I really believe in. And a lot of people say about it, but they actually don't implement it. But yeah, just don't do wrong by anyone. That is just one thing that I really look forward to. Yeah.
I like that. Mm-hmm. Last question I have for you is, who is Shradha Chopra?
Shradha Chopra is a strong, independent girl or a woman, very low key, and just needs, but in the off time is an extremely fun person, can live a life where she doesn't talk about real estate and just enjoys, but she's just working on that balance. Yeah.
I agree with you.
Yeah, but she has big dreams, and she doesn't believe in settling for anything but the best.
I like that.
Yeah.
It's powerful. Thank you so much for joining us on this podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, again, one of the special episodes that we've shot. I had the pleasure of sitting with Shradha Chopra. Hope you enjoyed this just as much as I did. Till next time.